This is Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa. The story of resurgent and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel. Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa.
Welcome to Pulse of Africa News, where we boldly and truthfully tell Africa's story from the inside. I'm Frau Namak, and this segment we will explore the most important and impactful stories from across the continent, and stay tuned. South Africa on Monday launched a year-long commemoration of the 30th anniversary of its constitution with Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Development, Mamalako Kubaya, urging citizens to reaffirm their commitment to constitutional democracy. Speaking at the event, which was held both online and at the Apartheid Museum in Johannesburg, Kubaya said the constitution signed into law in 1996 by the country's first democratically elected president, Nelson Mandela, represented a decisive break from a past of racial inequality and injustice, providing a foundation for unity and diversity. Reflecting on 3 decades of constitutional democracy, she said the constitution has fulfilled much of its promise, yet its implementation has too often fallen short of aspiration. The minister stressed the structural integration of the justice system as a landmark achievement and said that the last 30 years have significantly improved access to justice for ordinary citizens. These developments are significant because access to justice is a substantive constitutional obligation, she added. At the same time, Kubaya acknowledged that while the legal frameworks has advanced, many communities have not experienced the pace of transformation that the constitution's provisions reasonably implied, citing corruption, resource constraint, and uneven implementation as obstacles. Under the theme 30 Years of Constitutional Democracy, One Constitution, One Nation, Reflect, Renew, Recommit, the commemoration program will feature public dialogues, civic education initiatives, and an international conference on access to justice. We call on all South Africans to join us in this initiative so that we can collectively reflect on the 30 years of our Constitution, progress and challenges, and recommit ourselves to the democratic project, she said. Benin's Republican policy issue wanted notice for suspected coup leaders and hefty reward for information to help locate them. Almost 3 months after an attempted coup in Benin, the alleged ringleaders now have a price on their head. Beninese authorities have issued a wanted notice for 9 people, including the operation's suspected mastermind. Information that leads to their location carries a reward of more than 30,000 euros. The failed coup targeted President Patrice Talon and his government, who the rebels accused of mismanaging the security situation in Benin's north. The army has suffered major losses at the hands of Islamist insurgents near the border with Niger and Burkina Faso. The coup failed after Nigeria sent fighter jets to force the mutineers out of a military base and a state broadcast facility at the request of President Talon. Heading the wanted list is Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigui, a former commander of an elite military unit. Former Senegalese President Macky Sall has officially entered the race to become the United Nations' new Secretary General. The world body on Monday confirmed that Sall, who led the country from 2012 to 2024, was nominated for the top job by Burundi. Despite achievements during his tenure as president, he continues to face criticism at home, notably accusations that his administration hid the true extent of the country's fiscal problems. The world body will elect a new Secretary General to replace ongoing Chief Antonio Guterres this year for a 5-year term starting on 1st January 2027. Traditionally, the job rotates among regions, but when Guterres, who is Portuguese, was elected in 2016, it was supposed to be Eastern Europe's turn. The next on the list is Latin America. Sall joins two other formally nominated candidates, former Chilean President Michelle Bachelet and Argentinian diplomat Rafael Grossi, who currently heads the International Atomic Energy Agency. Costa Rica has also put forward its former Vice President, Rebecca Greenspan, but the letter of candidacy has not yet been officially submitted to the UN. This election comes amidst a growing push for the United Nations to choose the first female Secretary General in its 80-year history. The Secretary Council must begin the selection process by the end of July. The United Nations Support Mission in Libya has invited young Libyan women to participate in a dialogue session to be held on March 9. The session will discuss issues of governance, the economy, security, human rights, and national reconciliation in support of the national dialogue process and to enhance women's participation in public affairs. The mission explained that the session is being organized by the Libyan Women's Assembly and aims to provide a space for exchange views on the priorities of the next phase within the frameworks of a structured dialogue that brings together participants from diverse backgrounds. The meeting will be held on Monday, March 9, 2026 at 1 p.m. via Zoom, and those wishing to participate are encouraged to register in advance. The mission affirmed that this initiative is part of its effort to empower women and young women and ensure their participation in national discussions, contributing to the development of visions that reflect the aspirations of Libyan society. Shifting to business headlines, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Olayemi Karadasu, has revealed that Nigeria's net external reserves stood at $34.8 billion as of December 2025. Speaking at a post-monetary policy committee press briefing last Tuesday, Karadasu also disclosed that the country's gross external reserve reached $50.45 billion as of February 16, 2026. According to a CBN statement, the governor highlighted that increased transparency and credibility in foreign exchange management had boosted investor confidence, attracted stronger FX inflows, and improved reverse management practices aimed at preserving capital, ensuring liquidity, and supporting long-term sustainability. Karadasu noted that Nigeria's net reserve had risen sharply from $3.99 billion at the end of 2023 to $34.8 billion by close of 2025, reflecting a fundamental improvement in reserve quality. He added that the 2025 net reserve alone exceeded that total gross reserve recorded at the end of 2023, which stood at $33.22 billion. Net reserve increased from $23.11 billion at the end of 2024 to $34.8 billion at the end of 2025, while gross external reserve grew from $40.19 billion to $45.71 billion over the same period, a rise of $5.52 billion. The governor said the expansion underscores Nigeria's enhanced capacity to meet external obligations, support exchange rate stability, and a reinforced overall macroeconomic resilience. He described the end 2025 reserve position as a strong validation of the CBN's ongoing policy reforms and external sector adjustments, and reaffirmed the bank's commitment to maintain adequate reserve buffers, supporting orderly foreign exchange market operations, and sustaining macroeconomic stability in line with its statutory mandate. After a pause of almost 17 years, Libya is preparing to host a bidding round for oil exploration. The announcement was made in a televised address on Monday by the acting chairman of the National Oil Corporation, Masoud Suleiman. As Africa's second largest oil producer, Libya is a significant player in the global oil market and is also a member of Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. Foreign investors, however, have been wary of putting money into the country, which has been in a state of chaos since the overthrow of long-time ruler Muammar Gaddafi in 2011. Disputes between armed rival factions over oil revenues have often led to oil field shutdowns. In August, Libya lost more than half of its oil production and exports were halted at several ports. They lasted for over a month, with production gradually resuming from early October. This new bidding round marks a pivotal moment for Libya, given its long break from exploration activities. It will give companies the opportunity to explore new oil fields, potentially increasing the country's production capacity. Moving on to sports news, Confederation of African Football has cancelled its inter-club quarter-final preparation course that was scheduled to take place in Cairo from 4 to 8 March 2026. In a brief communication circulated to stakeholders, CAF cited visa delays and flight ticket complications as the primary reasons behind the decision, effectively calling off the event just days before it was set to begin. The course is designed to prepare match officials and key operational personnel ahead of the crucial quarter-final stage of CAF's inter-club competitions, was expected to bring together participants from across the continent. However, logistically hurdles made it impossible to guarantee the fully attendance required for such a high-level technical program. The latest setback highlights the persistent travel and administrative challenges that continue to affect cross-border events within African football. It remains unclear whether the course will be rescheduled or replaced with an alternative format, such as a virtual session, as clubs prepare for one of the most decisive phases of the season. With the quarter-final looming, attentions will now shift to how CAF ensures that match officials and competition staffs receive the necessary briefing and updates despite the disruption. The South African Football Association, in collaboration with Adidas, proudly reveals the new 2026-2027 home jersey for both Bafana Bafana and Banyana, a bold evolution of an iconic design that captures the spirit of South African football. Drawing inspiration from the unforgettable 2010 jersey, a symbol of pride during a defining moment for South African football, the new design honors the legacy while stepping confidently into a new era. The 2026-2027 home jersey retains the unmistakable yellow base with green trim, a color palette synonymous with national pride. Elevated detailing and refined construction modernize the silhouette, delivering a performance-driven jersey built for the demands of today's global game. Most notably, the update design pays tribute to South Africa's 12 official languages, a powerful reflection of the nation's diversity, unity, and shared love for football. The subtle graphic element woven into the fabric symbolizes the many voices that rise together in stadiums across the country and around the world. Now let's check out the latest weather forecast across the continent. That's all for this hour. Next up is our weekly show, The Africa We Want. We hope you'll stay and watch. Thank you so much for being with us, and goodbye.
There was a river which Italian fighters were drinking from. Impressed I too knew that they are using this water, the river, and fighting against us. So she decided to cut the water off from the Italian soldiers. She was a very strategist and military strategist, actually. Ghana's independence, led by Kwame Nkrumah, was a major milestone in the decolonization of Africa. Nkrumah often referenced Adwa as a beacon in the struggle for African independence.
Adwa, the name of a place in Ethiopia, will ever be remembered by the black race as the turning point.
Do you know that Nelson Mandela was trained in Ethiopia?
You're watching Pulse of Africa, and today we're going to take you inside the Adwa Victory Museum. Come with us.
Thank you very much for coming to the Adwa Victory Memorial.
How long has this museum been here?
It's now 2 years. This is called Pan-African Hall. They turn it back the history that always white colonizers defeat black and Africans. So that's why we call this Pan-African Hall. When invaders came to Ethiopia, the king Menelik conveyed that message that we are invaded. So called upon all Ethiopians, whether small and big, male and female, so farmers
To defend their country.
to defend their country.
Wow.
And that's why we called From Farmer to Army, the story of the Ethiopian farmers at the Battle of Adwa. This is dedicated for Ethiopian farmers. We call it Farmers' Corner. Ethiopians were not actually so unified that they all were under King Menelik.
Yeah, there were people that were opposing him at the time.
Yes.
Yet when it came to defending their own country, they were able to unite.
Yes, they left behind their differences, and then they decided to defend their country.
Do you think that had a major contribution to them having a victory over the
Yes,
colonial powers?
The key in this defeating the colonial power is the unity. The unity for one cause, the resilience, and then decisiveness, like decide, giving yourself, sacrifice for your country. So these are the 12 military commanders. Actually, there weren't only 12, but the major ones, the leaders under the leadership of Emperor Menelik were 12. Ras is a military run they used. And then there is another name and the bracket called Abagadib.
Okay. Okay.
So Abagadib is the name of the horse of the commander.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, even his horse is mentioned in his that monument.
Yes, horse is
Amazing.
not simply horse for Ethiopian fighters.
Yeah.
They had spiritual connection
With their horses.
So the horses are as heroes, the military
That's
commanders
amazing.
as well. Yeah. In May 1889, the Treaty of Wuchale was signed between the Emperor Menelik II of Ethiopia and the Count Pietro Antonelli, representative from King Umberto I of Italy. Article 17, which had different meanings in the Amharic text, it says, translated as, His Majesty the King of Kings of Ethiopia can use. Can is a key word. Use the government of His Majesty the King of Italy for all businesses with other powers or governments. So the term can is the key word here. In Italy, text says, so Italians can understand the English translation of the Italian text, His Majesty the King of Kings of Ethiopia allows you to make use of the government of His Majesty the King of Italy for all business dealings he had with other powers or governments. So the discrepancy in the text of Article 17 of the Wuchale Treaty as it appeared in the Amharic and Italian texts eventually triggered the Battle of Adwa. So when the king found out that the Italian text had different meaning, the conflict erupted. After the Italians were defeated at Adwa, there is another treaty which is very interesting for Africans and for Ethiopia.
Okay.
From victory to peace, Treaty of Addis Ababa. This is the result. On October 26, 1896, the same year, they signed this Treaty of Addis Ababa. Article 3, the government of Italy absolutely recognizes the sovereignty of Ethiopia and the government as an independent government.
weapons like this, how was it possible that they were able to defeat a modern army?
Yeah.
And a formidable one at that.
Yes. So there are key things in here. One is the unity Ethiopian fighters had, and they stood together. Even though there were differences in political attitude or religious differences, language differences, some of them didn't understand what others said even. So because of the language barriers, they came up from across Ethiopia and then they spoke different languages. The unity, the number of fighters from Ethiopian side outnumbered the Italian fighters, and then the landscape. They knew their landscape. Ethiopians understood their landscape, but the foreign aggressors usually do not understand very well the landscape. This is a sandcast. This sandcast model depicts the terrain, battle formation, and battlefield of the area where the Battle of Adwa took place. This is one of the cannons captured from Italians. Ethiopian soldiers captured over 40 cannons that Italians used against Ethiopians, one of the modern weapons they have. Some of them knew about it, how to operate it, so they captured and used against them. So this is one of the 40 cannons captured from Italians. Not only men participated and fought against the Italians, also women, children, and all the elderly also fought at the Battle of Adwa. So we will see the role of the women. This site actually says the role of women during the Adwa campaign and battle. So during the Adwa campaign and subsequent battle, women played an indispensable role in Ethiopia's victory. So women not only prepared food for 120,000 fighters, they also involved themselves in the fighting, actual fighting. They also inspired Ethiopian soldiers when they passed through villages. They telling them, "We are heroes, we are our heroes. Go and defeat." That kinds of inspiration for men. In Ethiopian proverb, there is a proverb called "Sete lakechu mot aifaram."
Oh yes.
Yeah. So
Translation.
translation is if the woman sends a man, he doesn't fear
Death.
That's the actually direct translation. This is a strategic decision at the Battle of Adwa, which actually contributed a lot for the Ethiopians' victory. There was a river which Italian fighters were drinking from. Empress Taitu knew that they are using this water, the river, and fighting against us. So she decided to cut the water off from the Italian soldiers. She was a very strategist. Shows the inspiration of Adwa to the Pan-Africanism. So it says from Adwa to the African Union. So the timeline, it shows the timeline of Pan-Africanism. Africans did not easily submit to colonial domination throughout the continent, from west to east, north to south, and from the coastal areas to the interior. They fought valiantly at different times and places. Ghana's independence, led by Kwame Nkrumah, was a major milestone in the decolonization of Africa. Nkrumah often referenced Adwa as a beacon in the struggle for African independence. In 2002, formation of the African Union, the current, one of the African Union's major ambitions was to achieve deeper political integration among member states. This goal was aimed at fostering stronger governance, democratic principles, and a unified voice in international affairs, moving beyond the initial objectives of OAU. And then there are quotations, words from very popular leaders all across the world.
So the quote from Marcus Garvey, "Adwa, the name of a place in Ethiopia, will ever be remembered by the black race as the turning point in the history of their fight for freedom and self-government.
Then you can see Jomo Kenyatta, Julius Nyerere, Kenneth Kaunda, and Nelson Mandela. Do you know that Nelson Mandela was trained in Ethiopia? He was trained in Ethiopia during the Emperor Haile Selassie.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, he was here. He was trained by Ethiopian commander called General Taddese Birru.
Yeah, Nelson Mandela said the victory of Adwa in 1896 demonstrated the resilience of the African people and served as an inspiration to all those who were fighting against colonialism throughout the continent.
Yes.
And of course, he was fighting apartheid
Yeah.
in his own country.
Yeah.
Adwa really holds the spirit of black people everywhere.
Yes, everywhere. So
Even in the US.
that's why we say Adwa is not only the victory of Ethiopians, it's a victory of black people in the world. This, as you can see, there is a light sparking from Ethiopia to the other African nations. This shows that the victory of Adwa is a light for Africans. It's a light of independence. It shows that the sense of independence and that we can defeat colonialism starts from the victory of Adwa from Ethiopia. So Ethiopia didn't sit there by defeating colonialists, but also tried to support other African nations who were under colony, like the Ghana, what Ethiopia did for the apartheid, like for South Africa, training Nelson Mandela, training Zimbabweans, Zimbabwe leader, and also supporting other African nations who were under colony. So Ethiopia always tried to support other Africans who were under operation and under colony. So now we are heading to the top of the Adwa Victory Memorial,
Okay.
Which is very beautiful and interesting. This is a nagarit drum, symbolizes a drum inside.
The one we saw downstairs.
Yeah, the center of the museum. So
Actually, at the center of the museum, you see there's a glass ceiling.
yes,
And you can see this is where it is.
yeah, this is where it is.
wow,
And then the painting inside the
mural around
yeah,
is here.
and signifies the landscape, the terrain, mountains and gorges of the Battle of Adwa.
What is the main
Art
thing
night.
you want people to take away when they leave after visiting the museum?
Unity of Africa. So because we say victory of Adwa symbolizes the victory of Africa and victory of the black people all over the world, we call upon anyone who comes here. Unity is the strength. Unity is the thing we have to work towards.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's been really great.
Yeah.
This is not just a voice for Ethiopia, but I believe it's a voice for Africa.
Yes, Africa and beyond as well, for
Yes.
Caribbeans, for black people all over the world. So I call upon African brothers and sisters to see how great Ethiopia was, what can unity do if you are united and stand together. So I call upon African brothers and sisters to come and visit and enjoy and share the experience and then the inspiration from the Battle of Adwa and take it to their country and stand together as one African nation.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
Lizzie.
much. Thank you so much.
That concludes our visit to Adwa Victory Museum. I hope that this memorial makes clear that we should all unite as one country, as one continent, and as one global community. We cannot just inherit our past. We must actively shape our own future.